Hi, boys and girls. Today's lesson comes from the New Testament of the Bible, the very first book, Matthew. It is from chapters 5 through 7. And I'm titling this lesson, God Knows Our Needs. And it is from Jesus teaching the Sermon on the Mount. Now, Matthew chapter 5, verse 1 says, "Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach to them." Many people call the Sermon on the Mount the 10 Commandments of the New Testament, because much like the 10 rules that God gave Moses in the book of Genesis, Jesus touches on very important areas of life and even talks about some of those commandments. Here in a minute, we're going to go to our Bible board and listen to the Bible story. But right now, I want to talk to you about our Bible verse for today. It's from 1 John. 1 John is in the back of the New Testament. 1 John chapter 4, verse 16 says, "And so we know and rely on the love God has for us." Today's verse fits right in with Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and the lesson title, God Knows Our Needs. He knows because he made us, and we can rely on him because he is a creator that loves us. So when we pick apart this verse, we know and rely on the love God has for us. The word rely means that we can depend in full on something, that we can trust it completely and have confidence in it. If we rely in someone or on something, it means we 100% believe and trust in whatever it is. So many of you rely on your parents or grandparents or a teacher and fully believe that they will do their best to take care of you and protect you. Well, that is also how we should believe about God. He 100% loves us, and we, as his followers, can 100% believe in him. Let's go to the Bible board and hear some of what Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus went out on a hill and found a place to sit in a field of green grass and flowers. The disciples and a large group of people sat on the ground where they could listen to Jesus teach. Jesus said, "I tell you, do not worry. Don't worry about your life and what you will eat or drink, and don't worry about what you will wear. God knows what you need." Jesus helped the people understand what he was teaching them about God. Jesus talked about the birds flying in the air. He explained, "Look at the birds of the air. They don't plant seeds or gather crops and store food in barns, but God knows what they need and feeds them." Jesus went on to say that we are much more valuable to God than the birds. If God knows that the birds need food, then he surely knows that we need food. Don't worry, God knows that you need food. Jesus said the people were sitting in a beautiful field of flowers. Jesus talked about the flowers as another example of how we can be sure God knows what we need. Jesus said, "Look at the flowers in this field. The flowers don't worry about what they will wear. They don't spend their days working so they can buy clothes. They don't weave cloth to sew into clothing. But the flowers look nicer than a rich king in very fine clothes. God in heaven dresses all the plants in the fields. You are much more important to God than them. They are here today but gone tomorrow because they get stepped on or eaten by animals or cut with the grass. So don't worry, God dresses the flowers and he knows that you need clothes too." Jesus said, "Do not worry, saying what will we eat or what will we drink or what will we wear? People who do not know me worry about these things. They become so busy with trying to get what they need that they don't have time for what is important to God. Don't worry like they do. God knows what you need. Instead of being concerned about what we need, Jesus said, put God first. Do what He wants you to do. When you do, you will also be given all that you need. Jesus teaches us that worrying doesn't do any good. It doesn't change anything. God wants us to know that because He loves us and knows what we need, we can depend on God to take care of us. So don't worry. God knows what you need. Boys and girls, I do want to make something clear about today's lesson. God knows our needs. Sometimes we do worry. Sometimes we become fearful or scared, wondering, where will we get our next meal? All my clothes are too small, I've grown. Mom and Dad don't have the money to buy all new clothes. I realize that these things happen and that we do worry. What Jesus was trying to tell us in the Sermon on the Mount is that if we do our best to work for God and remember that heaven is our final goal, all the other things will fall into place. Now, it doesn't mean everything's going to always be perfect and that we will have all of our wants. But from my experience, I've seen that even in our times where we don't know when we will get even enough to have what we need, God provides for us, either through a family member or a friend or a church. You know, I know of people last winter that did not have the coats and clothes that they needed. And the church here, and even Mr. Stan and I, put money together and went and got that family the winter coats and hats and jeans that they needed. So that's really what God wants us to know, that even when we're struggling, He is still here for us. He will help us. One of my favorite phrases, and it's from an old song that I know, is God will make a way. And we all need to remember that sometimes. Jesus said in His Word that worrying will not add any time to our life. Worrying will not help us. But what can help us is to have trust in God and fully rely on Him. And do not be lazy. We still need to work for what we have and be a part of this society and world and help others and service those in need and not just sit around and think only of ourselves. We do need to work and be active. And that is one of the ways God will provide for us. I hope you have a great week. Bye now.